Hello, everyone. It's Phil again, and I'm here today with Scott Mackeil, who is the Senior Anesthesia Biomed at Mass General Hospital in Boston. Scott, thank you for joining us.
Well, it's great to be here. Healthcare business news is one of my favorite publications, and it's an honor to meet you and talk to you in real life.
Well, yes, and we've met before. So, Scott, tell me, how did your role change during the pandemic at Mass General?
Well, the reality is my role underwent a lot of different evolutions, but it's always been the same. Biomeds are there in the hospital to help caregivers with their technology needs and translate that into safe and effective care using technology. When the COVID-19 thing started happening, we had to continue in that role, but in a different manner. Uh, in my particular case, and the case of the other 12 BMETs in my team, we had to transition a very large operating room suite with 60 plus machines. And we then had to transition some of our PACUs and pre-op care units into ICUs using our anesthesia machine fleet as critical care ventilators to help the organization and its caregivers get through the surge. That was our big role.
I know that you're an innovative guy, which is probably why you were Amy's Biomed of the Year in 2018. Tell me, do you think that after the pandemic, God willing, it ends soon, your role will change, go back to the way it was, or do you permanently have a different role?
Well, again, I would say, the biomed's role is always the same, being helping the caregivers with their technology and making sure that it's doing what they're supposed to do while preventing patients from being harmed by that technology. Our tasks will change. For example, one of the interesting tasks that I had during the earlier COVID periods was my organization tapped me to assist the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency with doing some sample testing on the ventilators coming in to our main distribution center for the state in the MEMA warehouse. Myself and one of my coworkers, Lou Aber, and I did that. And we found that the federal ventilators were in great shape and worked as advertised. And it was great that the Emergency Management Agency was being proactive in making sure that all of the machines that they were delivering out from the federal stockpile had been screened. That was an interesting thing. I'll probably never ever see that particular role in my career again, but it was great to do it and be a service to the healthcare community.
Yeah, it's great that you can contribute in that way. Do you have, you work for a large hospital. Do you have advice for hospitals or biomedical departments around the country? Anything you'd like to share or ideas?
Well, for me, I would say just know your technology and know what the caregivers need, and always be prepared to respond to their needs. If you have ventilators, understand how, why, and where they're using the ventilators, and be prepared to take those service calls. Being a good biomed isn't that difficult a job to understand, but sometimes it is difficult to understand the caregivers and what they need for you to do. Once upon a time, a wise old nurse who taught me a lot when I was a young biomed, her name was Elaine Crosby. She said to me, "Scott, when I was in surgery with the doctors and they asked me for something, a lot of times I knew needed something to do something in that procedure, and they may have misspoke. So I handed them what I knew they would need at that point in the procedure. So her greatest piece of advice was, Scott, don't give the caregivers what they ask for, give them what they need. So I'm always prepared by understanding the context of situations to give the caregivers what they need when they need it.
How long have you been at a biomed?
So my first job was in 1981. So I think this year is my 40th year anniversary in the business.
Well, you know, you look younger than that, so congratulations.
Well, thank you. I have good parents with great genes to thank for that. And I literally started, in the business when I was, 18, 19 years old.
Well, Scott, you've contributed a lot to the industry and helped a lot of people, and you're an interesting guy, and we appreciate your contribution to our publication and our online news. So thank you very much for joining us today.